Hi there, Karen here, and today I'm doing another layout with one of these photos from the photo shoot that they did at the hospital with my little granddaughter. It's my favourite photo. This is a layout I've been thinking about for a while. The last layout I did was sort of in preparation for this, and I'm just going through these papers trying to choose a background. This is a collection by Kaisercraft called Rose Avenue, and it's really pretty. It's got lots of flowers in it, and I really like it. It's got lovely soft colours. I'm just going through it here, having a quick look to see which one I want to use for my background. And I really seriously considered this pink one, but because of the colour of the little hat they've put on it doesn't quite work. Now this paper is gorgeous roses, and it's the main reason I bought the collection. I am going to fussy cut most of these roses out and use them on the layout. The layout is going to be it's going to be put in what I call it a shadow box or a deep box, so I can actually make it quite dimensional and put it on the wall. This is the background I've chosen. It's a very neutral one, and it's quite lacy looking. And I've already covered it in clear gesso, so I can do lots of mixed media on it. And I'm just sticking it to this backing card. It's quite a thick card. It actually came with the frame that I'm going to use, the deep frame. So it's quite thick and strong, and it's ideal for giving the strength to the layout so that I can do lots of mixed media. I don't normally, as you may know, do a great deal of mixed media, but I really wanted to give this layout some dimension. As I'm going to have lots of space, I'm going to give it do lots of mixed media and give it lots of dimension. And the first thing I'm going to do is give it a bit of colour behind it, because it is quite a pale background. So I'm using these acrylic paints. They were inherited from my daughter. She used them when she was at school, and I've taken them over to use on my layouts occasionally. So there's a bright pink and a yellow and then a bit more in the way of a bit more white. And I mix them all together to come up with a peachy colour. And it was quite lucky. I got the colour I wanted pretty much straight away. So just mixing it up there. And I'm just seeing if the colour works with her hat. Now I've got a little dab there that wasn't supposed to be there, but in the end it just becomes part of the layout, so it's not a problem. This is quite a big photograph. It's one that Jenny and Gary they got quite a lot printed, and they got quite a few printed in this larger size. I think it's a 5x7. And because it's going to end up on the wall in a frame, I thought I would use the bigger one. I have actually reprinted quite a few of them as 4x6s, and they're the ones I've used on a couple of other layouts. But I thought I would use the larger one on this, as I really want it to stand out, this photograph, because it's, as I say, it's going to go in a frame on the wall, and I wanted the photograph to really be the main focal point. So I thought I'd stick with that larger one. And I'm just going to back it, first of all, while the paint is drying. I'm going to back it with some white tissue paper, because that gives it a nice soft outline. So there we are. There she is, so cute, such a lovely picture. And then I'm using some of this this is a piece of paper from the More Than Words collection by Cocoa Vanilla. I can't remember what this one's called, but I used quite a bit of it on my last layout. It's just got all the pretty colours, the soft pinks and peaches that I want to use in this layout. I'm keeping it I'm not introducing too much extra colour on this layout. It's really going to be warm pinks, and peaches are going to be the colours that I stick to. So I'm just going to ruffle up the edges of this backing paper with my Tim Holtz Distresser. There we are. That's all done. So it's just got that little soft edge. And yeah, that just works. So although I've got quite a lot of paint on there, most of it is actually going to be covered up. And these are all those fussy cut flowers. I don't end up using them all, but I just trying them out on the layout. And also I thought I must have a doily, because any layout with a baby on, it has to have a doily. It seems to me anyway. So I'm just placing them on. I'm just playing at the moment, just trying to see how it looks, putting them on the page. And that's kind of going in the right direction. I mean, there's not a great deal you could do with a great big picture like this, except put it in the middle and put pretty things around it. So I'm just trying out, see how they look. Now I'm going to do some mixed media. What I've done is I've mixed some modelling paste with some white acrylic paint, because I found in the past that when I just use the modelling paste, it starts off lovely and white and then it fades completely into the background and you can barely see it, and I don't know why it does that. And actually further on in the video you will see I've done a tester on a piece of paper and you can see what happens. So I thought I'd try mixing this with some white paint to see if it holds its colour for better. I'm not quite sure I'm smushing that around the edges. It doesn't look quite right, but I just did that because there was funny old bits. This stencil or mask is just little tiny crosses, so I'm just putting a few bits around. Yeah, so I do go a bit mad with my mixed media on this layout, because I know that on the whole most of it's going to get covered up by that very large photograph. So I just really went for it. So I'm just going to have to. I think I've put that do I put that aside, or I'm going to do some more? I'm mixing up a little bit more. I think I may have already dried this modelling paste now. Now I'm doing the next layer. I'm doing a different stencil. So there's my bit of white acrylic and a bit more of the modelling paste that I'm going to mix together. Just mixing them up. I think that the first stencil was an Echo Park stencil with the little crosses. And now I've got a Tim Holtz stencil, a sort of weave stencil. So I'm just putting great big swathes of that on the layout. But as with the other one, and it's a bit messy. I think the adding the paint makes the modelling paste a bit sloppy. So in the end, you don't get a particularly crisp result with it, or at least I didn't, and that could be just my technique, because I don't think I'm particularly good at doing this. But it didn't really matter, because as I say, a lot of it just disappears. So now I'm adding a bit of Heidi Swap colour shine in pink. There you are, that's that piece of card, and the one on the right is just the modelling paste and the one on the left is with the paint, and I think it does make a big difference adding the paint, so I shall do that in future. So I'm just spraying some of the peach coloured Heidi Swap colour shine, because I just wanted a little bit of sparkly without too much colour, extra colour, because the colour's quite deep, but because you get the shine in it, I just wanted a little bit of sparkle to show through. It's quite subtle, but then this is a baby layout, so it needs to be fairly subtle. I know it doesn't look very subtle at the moment, it looks a bit of a mess, but it won't matter because most of that will be hidden. And so I'm just blotting it, adding little bits. And now I've got it's a Kaisercraft stamp, and it's just called Script. So I'm going to just put a few little bits of script around the page. I've seen this technique done quite a lot of times. This layout, as the last one was, are both pretty inspired by some videos I watched by a lady called Tiffany Solorio, who does a lot of this kind of thing. I mean, she does it beautifully. She's she does really beautiful layouts. And I'm just borrowing some of her techniques and trying them out. But I have to say, when it's all done, I'm really pleased with how this turns out. It may look really messy at the moment, and it definitely does, but in the end, when I've finished with all the embellishing, I'm very happy with how this turns out. So I'm just putting a few more little bits of script in a few places where it wasn't showing. And now the doilies going to I shall keep trying out, make sure it all works, make sure everything is, and there's a bit of everything is visible. And in the meantime, while I was off camera, while everything was drying, I've backed my photo with some craft foam. In fact, it's double layered. There's craft foam between the tissue paper and the paper, and then another layer at the back. So I've actually got two layers of foam, so it really makes the photograph stand up quite well, and then I can tuck things behind it. I wasn't afraid to go quite dimensional with this layout, because I've got lots of room. I haven't got to put it into it's not going into an album. It's going into a deep frame. Now I need to find a little bit of lace. I like the lace touch on my layout that I did before, so I thought I'd put lace on this one again. Just a little tiny touch, under the photo. Babies and lace, they need to go together. Well, girl babies anyway, possibly not boy babies, but I'm sure I'd still probably use lace even if it was a boy. I'm just using my wet glue, the Scotch tacky glue, to stick the lace on, and I'm just poking it under the photo with my tweezers. As you probably know, I use those a lot due to somewhat slight lack of dexterity with my fingers, so the tweezers really help to just get these little fiddly bits done. Now I'm going to try out putting out those fussy cut flowers, all the roses. I'm just laying them around. I'll go a bit over the top with the flowers on my first try. I am just trying it out, so please bear that in mind. I'm just trying things at the moment because it does get a bit out of control. And I've got all these. I went a bit mad and I ordered loads of Prima flowers, really beautiful, because I know Tiffany Solorio uses Prima flowers a lot, and she makes her layouts so beautiful. And I do love flowers, and I don't use them a great deal because they can be quite dimensional, these kind of flowers anyway. But I thought, oh well, I'm going to need some flowers for this layout, so I bought loads. Bought far too many, of course, and now I'm trying to get them all on the layout. Rest assured they won't all stay there, because it looks completely mad and over the top. But I'm just trying them out, just laying them on, seeing how they look. And I will clear it all off in a moment and start again. So I really had to tone it down a bit because it was a bit too much with so many flowers on. Right, so I've just cleared it all off, and now I'm sticking on a selection of the fussy cut flowers. So I use somewhat less than, I don't use them all, that's for sure. I'm just sticking those on, tucking them in. And I think that's probably all I use of the ones that I've cut out of the Rose Avenue paper. I thought I'll come back to that corner. And then I found in my stash that I think this was in one of the kit that I had for my last retreat. This it's like a pearly swirl. It's called a sunburst swirl or starburst swirl or something. And I just cut off the swirly bits. I don't use the starburst, but I thought those little swirly bits that are all made out of tiny pearls would look lovely on this layout. So I'm just cutting those down and popping those in, just as a little extra embellishment. Really, it's made of very tiny pearls, but I think it just looks lovely, and it just goes so well with the either side of the flowers. And now I'm going to start sticking these flowers on. That's going to be the main flower. That's the biggest one, and everything. And then I'm going to sort of build around it and tuck them in all around this big one. No, that one's not going to make it on. The colour is just too different. It's all fairly tonal. It's all pale pinks, peaches, is the colours I'm aiming for, so that it all goes well together, and it still means that they don't dominate the photograph. They just enhance it. I've just got a few of these little tiny ones. I'm just going to tuck into some of the little spaces around as well. They're a pale cream and peachy colour, and I'm just going to tuck a few of those around the page, around in between the flowers. And here I've got in a little bag some little butterflies that I cut out. It's one of the More Than Words papers. It's just covered with butterflies everywhere, and I've used them on another layout, and I just fussy cut them out, and then I just used some Nuvo drops to do the little centres, and these were some little butterflies I had left over. The paper is called Gossamer, and that's what the paper that the butterflies is on. So I've just stuck a few little butterflies, or will be sticking a few butterflies around the flowers. But first of all, I'm just cutting off some of the leaves from the fussy cut flowers, so I felt it needed a little bit of greenery around the flowers. So I'm tucking in a few of the leaves that I've cut off, just on the outside of the flowers, just to give it a little bit more green, which I think it just needed around the edges there. And now I'm just sticking the butterflies on. I'm just putting glue down the middle so that the little wings can stick up a little bit. And just got 3 little butterflies there. So that's that cluster pretty much done. As you can see, I've got the chipboard word Precious, which was on the chipboard sheet that comes with the More Than Words. The More Than Words collection really coordinated beautifully with all the flowers that I had. Or maybe I bought the flowers to coordinate with the collection. I don't know how it worked, but they all go really well together. And the Rose Avenue collection, it all seems to go quite well. So there's some more of these fussy cut roses. I'm just tucking a couple around the bottom right corner. I hadn't left myself a lot of room to tuck in flowers, so I did struggle a bit to get them in there, but I managed it, just to get a couple of little flowers in that corner. And then I'm going to put some couple of leaves. There's another leaf that's going in there, and now I'm going to put some more of those Prima flowers on this corner, but this is going to be a smaller cluster of flowers. And there it is done, it's all stuck. So a couple more little butterflies going in, just tucking them in. And I'm really loving the way this is going. Those flowers are so beautiful. I've been wanting to use them. I'm going to have to find a way to use the rest of the flowers now. I don't know whether I'm going to do any more of these shadow boxes or whatever you call them. And there was one last little swirl I found that I hadn't used, so I'm going to pop that in next to this cluster of flowers just to finish that off. There we are. And now I'm going to stick on the title. I think Precious just kind of covers it really. It was just the right word, the colours are right, and I thought that just went beautifully there. So I'm just sticking it on, using a bit of extra glue just to make sure it stays there. And the final touch is now going to put some sequins around the package, just around the photos, the flowers at the top and the bottom. I'm just going to put a few sequins just to finish it off. And that's the layout. I think there will be some stills as usual at the end. And right at the end, the very last picture is going to be of it in its frame, so you better see how it's going to look. And hopefully my husband's going to put it on the wall this weekend. So I'm really pleased how this turned out. And I've just picked out, that's it. I just got a couple of little phrases that I took from the sticker sheet that goes with the More Than Words. This one just says perfect. And then that one says beautiful you. And there's going to be one in the top left corner. Can't remember what that's going to say, but perhaps I'll see it in a moment. I'm just using some glue to make sure this sticks on firmly. As I say, this is one of my all-time favourite layouts. I'm so pleased how this turned out. I loved using the flowers, and I love this photograph, and really enjoyed doing this. And as you can see, you can see the texture, the dimension, but it's not too over the top, luckily now. So there we are. That's all done now. So thank you for joining me, and join me again soon. Goodbye.